Tzachi Hanegbi is one of the longest-serving politicians in Israel's parliament. Today, he is the Minister for Regional Cooperation and considered one of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's closest allies. We spoke to him yesterday before he made some drama today, saying that the Hamas rocket attacks on communities near Gaza was, quote, minor because they didn't attack Tel Aviv. After a rebuke from Prime Minister Netanyahu, he later clarified his remarks, saying, I have never made a distinction between the lives of the residents of the area and the lives of the residents of Tel Aviv. If so, I am sorry. And now, let's go to the interview. Tzachi Hanegbi, the Minister for Regional Cooperation, thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
You're welcome.
I want to start with regional cooperation and the fact that Jordan has decided that it wants back lands as part of the agreement, the peace agreement with it, that were leased to Israel for 25 years. What is your office doing about this?
It's a prerogative of Jordan. They made a decision to let us know in advance, a year before, exactly by the letter of the agreement, that they will not continue the leasing arrangement. We will discuss it with them. We will try to reach a new agreement. And if not, we will have to compensate the Israeli families, around 32 Israeli families who for years take advantage of this area in order to have beautiful agriculture.
Next, I want to go to the security situation, what we saw in the last week between Israel and Gaza. First, the botched operation of the IDF deep inside the Strip. Was it a good idea to approve such an operation deep inside the Strip when the ceasefire talks were well underway?
Well, rest assured that if Israel sends its troops behind the enemy lines, which is always problematic and always risky, it has good reasons, I would say, crucial reasons.
Well, were you surprised by Hamas's reaction?
Hamas tried to get a hold of our young fighters, and we had to take them out. In order to do it safely, we had to exercise force on the field, and around 6 or 7 terrorists were killed. And we knew they are going to retaliate because they saw it as a provocation in the middle of their city, 7 casualties. It was not a matter of if they will retaliate, but what will be the retaliation way.
There's a lot of frustration here in Israel. It seems that Hamas is calling the shots. It decides when to shoot, when to stop shooting, and then it gets millions of dollars from Qatar. Why is it that Israel always seems to be the one that is dragged into these confrontations?
When you fight with a terror organization, he calls the shots by exercising terrorism. This is what happened with Al-Qaeda. He called the shots. He attacked New York. It's not that New York suddenly, America suddenly decided to wage a war in Iraq or Afghanistan.
Well, if you want to compare, sir, both Al-Qaeda and ISIS have basically been eliminated, yet Hamas is the one who is celebrating today in the Gaza Strip.
So it takes time, and Daesh is still fighting, and American forces are still fighting. Al-Qaeda is still existing and is a threat to the West world even after more than a decade. They don't evaporate, terrorists. They don't really, disappear. And we are doing our best effort to make sure that we have normal lives in our country.
It's your government, it's your Prime Minister Netanyahu, who promised to topple Hamas.
Yes. Toppling Hamas is possible, but there is a price tag. And we will have to make a decision sooner or later whether we want to pay this price tag. Because if we go into Gaza, which we might do it one day, the result will be that we will take care of Hamas, we will kill many terrorists, but we still have to make a decision, what is the exit strategy? Are we want to stay and take care of 2 million miserable people and to take the taxpayers' money in order to make sure that they live not like they live now? So it's a dilemma that we are challenged with for a long time.
So you need to keep Hamas in power, so in order not to go into Gaza, as you just referred.
But it's our interest that they will be able to drink, to eat, to have medicine, and not to be drawn into, despair, because the result of a despair means more terrorism and more violence.
There are some pundits here in Israel that believe that the Prime Minister Netanyahu actually prefers this rift between Hamas in Gaza and Fatah in the West Bank so that they stay separated. Is that true?
What we prefer is for the Palestinians to be sane again, to come to their senses, to negotiate a reasonable historic compromise with us, because this reconciliation is needed. As long as they are so stubborn, it doesn't happen. So I think that the vision that we have is not about tactical issues, the rift here, rift there, but we would like to see a leadership that is recognizing Israel's right to exist, understands the security needs of Israel, which is the basic condition in the negotiation, understand that Jerusalem is not going to be divided again, and find a creative solution around that, and talk to us, try to put everything on the table. We will be able to reach an agreement.
A bit of diplomacy now. The White House Middle East peace envoy Jason Greenblatt recently said that the U.S. will soon be ready to publish its long-awaited peace plan between Israel and the Palestinians. What do you hope this plan will have in it, and what do you hope it won't have in it?
It's about time, because we are anxiously expecting this deal of the century to show itself, because we believe that there's no other way to rock the boat and to bring the Palestinians back to the negotiation table and to start a new dialogue with the Palestinians. Because what happened in the last more than 4 years, since April 14, that they left the room, stopped negotiating with us, they didn't improve their situation, and neither did we. So talking again about our future is important, and hopefully the Trump initiative will be like a ladder for the Palestinians to go down the tree and go back to the negotiation table.
The Prime Minister has strongly aligned himself with the Republican Party.
He's doing it in a very polite way, because when Obama was there, we had some problems. And now that Trump is there, we feel, of course, much better. But it's not because we support the Republicans, it's because the new president supports Israel's ideas. Mm-hmm. So we are out of this game. And whoever wins the elections, there's always an alliance between the countries that is beyond politics, and we were trying to keep ourselves away from inner politics.
Let's move on to Israeli domestic politics.
I'm an expert.
Your forte. You were recently booed during your speech at the Rabin Memorial Rally at Tel Aviv. How did you feel when that happened?
Of course, I heard, but I didn't care, because I felt that it's a organized minority of political affiliators of a specific party trying to make me disappear. I didn't. I was there making my speech. I think the majority of the people there was anxious to hear what a minister from the right wing has to say. And they were even clapping, and many people in their houses, in their homes, heard it on TV and in the internet. And I was happy that I did not surrender to violence, and I made it clear that we are one people, united. We are going to have disagreements about politics, we always did, but we have to respect each other's views, and this is why I was respecting the fact that this rally was left-wing affiliated. I was there because they are my brothers.
What's your reaction to the police recommending that 6 people should be indicted, quite a few of them from the Prime Minister's inner circle, in case 3000, regarding the purchase of submarines and boats from Germany?
It's something that disturbs us, without anything to do with the Prime Minister. Any corruption in government and in the army is terrible, and hopefully they will have their day in court, and maybe they'll be able to prove that they didn't do anything wrong. But this is a process that is essential to make sure that our ranks are clean and that we don't have any kind of such corruption.
How could he not know anything? He says that he didn't know anything.
Of course he didn't know, because if he would know, he would kick them out. I know Netanyahu for more than 30 years. He's an honest man, and he doesn't give anybody any chance to work without integrity.
Even if the Prime Minister didn't know, does he not bear any responsibility? This happened on his watch.
What we have to do is to understand that we have to respect people's right to be perceived as innocent till proven guilty.
Minister for Regional Cooperation, Tzachi Hanegbi,